Well, hello, my friends. It's Ruben Obed here, transmitting from GB Music Group Studios in Dorado, Puerto Rico. And this is episode 98 of the Ruben Obed Show. And I'm going to title this one The Mandela Effect Revealed. Okay? As many people may know, what the Mandela effect is. To those that don't know, basically the Mandela effect talks about a situation whereas a million of people have a shared, memory of certain things that didn't exist or were different, but everybody remembers it a certain way. There's a lot of stuff on very interesting, cool stuff. It's kind of like conspiracy stuff. You can see it on YouTube. So if you're interested in the subject, look up Mandela effect, and there's like slews of things on YouTube that you can check out. Well, today I was recently watching about something, a supposed movie that thousands upon thousands of people are remembering, made by the actor and comedian Sinbad, which supposedly came out in 1994. A movie where Sinbad is portrayed as a genie in this movie. It's a movie called Shazam. It's a movie that I remember because when I was a kid, I've never liked basketball. And I remember the movie Shazam that came out. And I remember that after Shazam, they came out with another movie called Kazam, which featured Shaquille O'Neal. And I remember as a kid not liking the version with Shaquille O'Neal because I've never liked basketball. You know what I mean? And I remember as a child, I clearly remember saying to myself, why they make another movie, and it with practically the same name with somebody else? I remember this clearly. I mean, this isn't like a vague, thought. I actually do remember this being on the Disney Channel. Well, anyways, so apparently, according to Sinbad, there was never a movie made where he came out as a genie, but millions of people remember it. Now, so I talked a little bit about it on Facebook. A couple of people made their comments, and I was in the bathroom just a few minutes ago, and I got an epiphany. An epiphany. I said epitome. I'm crazy. Epiphany. And I think that what I'm about to say kind of makes sense and brings an understanding of what this is. Now, the thought that I envisioned when I was in the bathroom was that life and existence and time is like a humongous Rubik's Cube. Like humongous, like eternal. And each little block on the Rubik's Cube of life is a variant of the same life, what they call in science alternate universes. For example, imagine a Rubik's Cube and imagine that they all have the solid color of yellow, right? All right. So now, in that whole solid color of yellow, let's say right now I'm eating some Cheez-Its, right? But in the red side, it's like the same reality, but instead of Cheez-Its, I'm eating Oreos. So now, what happens is, in this Rubik's Cube of life and of eternity, the bottom part or any segment of this Rubik's Cube just switches. So within the whole yellow panorama, everything stays the same, but all of a sudden, one of the lines of the Rubik's Cube changed to red. So now, instead of you remembering the video where I did eating Cheez-Its, now you get an alternate video of the same life, the same existence, but with a Ruben Obed eating Oreos instead of Cheez-Its. And I think that whole Rubik's Cube comparison is really interesting because it kind of gives you an understanding of maybe that's how God works. Like, life is a whole bunch of possibilities of the same thing. It's like, if you're walking down the street, you can make a left turn or a right turn, each of them having its own consequence. So it's like all these realities are all happening simultaneously at the same time. And God just like switches certain colors on the Rubik's Cube of life depending on the decisions made and circumstances or whatever God sees fit. So, it's just that thought of this eternal Rubik's Cube with different variants of the same life. Like, for example, you have a timeline that says the Titanic sunk. Then you have a timeline where the Titanic didn't sink. And this is all like preordained, and it can be switched, So it would make kind of sense that if in one of those realities or on this Rubik's Cube of life, there was a movie called Shazam, and we have this vague remembrance of it, but something shifted in the timeline, and now it doesn't exist, but it's close enough to remember the previous timeline. You know what I'm saying? So, and stuff like this has been talked about a lot, especially in movies. Back to the Future being a perfect example. Where I believe it was Back to the Future 1, that when he went to the mall, it was called Twin Pines Mall. And you could see, like, when Marty McFly rolled up, there was 2 pine cones, and it said Twin Pines Mall. Then at the end of the movie, if you haven't noticed, when he reaches the mall again to try to prevent the doc to get killed, there's only 1 pine. And that's because during the movie, in the beginning of the movie, he ran through a pine cone. So now the future was altered, and instead of it being the Twin Pines Mall, now it's the Lone Pines Mall. And all of these things, this is really interesting stuff. This is really, I know this whole time travel thing sounds a little bit far-fetched to some people, and it is good to keep your feet on the ground believing in reality, but at the same time, I think it's wise to keep the doors open to the possibility of there being truth to these things. Sometimes we know, like, us that we're believers in God, God can do whatever he wants. God can change anything he wants whenever he wants, because he's God. So that brings me back to that proverbial Rubik's Cube of life. If God made all of the possibilities of every single choice of every single person and is running them simultaneously at the same time, there might be a reality where you went to the mall and slipped down the steps. And in that same timeline, there's the same reality, but with the possibility that instead of you going down the steps, you decided to go to the bathroom. Therefore, you didn't fall down the steps. All of these parallel universes running simultaneously at the same time, and basically God deciding which one he's going to switch to next. That would be like, kind of like God at the switchboard. So this is just a concept, my friends. This isn't biblical either, so don't quote me on this, because I talk a lot about a God sometimes. So, but this was just an epiphany that hit me in my brain when I went to the bathroom, about that, about, wow, you know what I'm saying? So if here, let's say in a week or so, you go back to this video, and instead of a box of Cheez-Its, I have a box of Oreos or some Chips Ahoy cookies, then you know that the Mandela effect jumped in and changed things around. So, well, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my my little commentary about the Mandela effect. We're reaching the end of the Ruben Obed show, which will cease on episode 100. This was episode 98, so I'm two shows away from ending the Ruben Obed show. But I've enjoyed the ride and it's been fun. And like I said, this is on here on Facebook, and the moment I log off, it goes up on YouTube as well. So if you missed any episodes, you can watch them on YouTube as well. They're numbered, So we're on episode 98 of the Ruben Obed show, and we're nearing the end of this whole season. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my videos thus far. If you guys are interested in me continuing to do this show and to do these regularly broadcasted commentaries, let me know online, and let's see if we could do another run of 100 videos as well. So have a nice night, guys. Ruben Obed, episode 98 of the Ruben Obed show, and peace out. Leave your comments down below. Ruben Obed.